Yo, you guys are not gonna believe this. James Charles has finally broken his silence on the whole Evan Johnson situation, and it's messy. Like, grab a snack, grab some water, because this is one of those tea-spilling, jaw-dropping, what the actual hell kind of videos. After weeks of being called out for allegedly supporting a known and going ghost while drama exploded online, James just dropped some words, and now the internet is, of course, losing it. I've got everything you need to know. What James actually said, what it really means, how people are reacting, and where this whole circus might be headed next. So let's get into it, because this rabbit hole runs deep. Alright, for those who are like, wait, James Charles? Evan who? Let me bring you up to speed real quick, because context is everything here. A few weeks ago, TikTok creator Kayla Malec dropped a two-part bombshell on YouTube, exposing her ex-boyfriend Evan Johnson for allegedly abusing her throughout their relationship. I'm talking physical, emotional, and verbal abuse. It was horrifying. She included photos, text messages, and actual voice recordings. Like, this wasn't vague subtweet energy. This was receipts on receipts. The internet immediately rallied around her. She was brave, vulnerable, and sharing stuff that, honestly, should never happen to anyone. Period. But then, plot twist, people found out that James Charles, who had publicly been friendly with Kayla, was allegedly in contact with Evan. Not just texting him, hosting him. Evan was reportedly flown out to LA and stayed at James's house for several days. And when fans connected the dots, it was chaos. People were like, wait, so James knew what Kayla went through and still had this guy in his bed? The betrayal, the audacity, the silence. It all felt so off. Once the rumors started swirling, the internet said, nah, we need answers now. Enter Zach Sears, a TikToker and former friend of Evan Johnson. This dude came in like digital Sherlock Holmes and dropped a whole series of videos exposing behind-the-scenes convos, screenshots, and recorded interactions with both Evan and James. Zach claimed he knew everything because he was literally around Evan every day. According to him, Evan was bragging about staying at James's house, exchanging messages, and even sending pics back and forth.
Zach said that once everything started to come out, it was almost as if James had targeted Evan Johnson. Zach said that Evan Johnson and James Charles would always be messaging constantly. James would be offering Evan his support, saying that he could give him a call when he gets home, and they would basically be messaging all day long. Now, Zach says that as Charles and Evan exchanged more messages, they also started exchanging photos. And when I say photos, I mean explicit photos. These photos were shared on Instagram as disappearing messages, so they couldn't be saved. Zach also said that James had flown Evan out to his home in California. James and Evan were having a full-on relationship. When Zach Sellers tried to confront James Charles about his relationship with Evan, James said that he had no idea that Evan had done these things to Kayla. Zach had receipts of messages from James Charles. James basically said he had no idea that Evan had done this to Kayla and that he had been manipulated by Evan. James also asked if Zach could leave him out of this. Zach then questioned James because Evan had apparently said that James had told him to stay quiet about everything. James said that he was no longer in contact with Evan, that he'd stopped talking to him, and that he had told Evan to stay quiet, but he didn't realise the extent of what Evan had done. Now, Be Better, the creator that dropped this interview with Zach Sellers, has said that James has tried to silence him, tried to get the video taken down from YouTube, and James hasn't released any sort of statement yet. The big question here is, why is James Charles trying to help someone who is physically abusive towards his friend or ex-friend Kayla? Why is he having a relationship with this abuser?
And I wish I meant like selfies. But no, this was the type of content you usually don't want on your iCloud. Zach also spilled that James lied directly to Kayla when she called to ask, hey, is Evan with you? While Evan was literally sitting right next to him. James said no, like bold-faced lie. The whole thing started unraveling fast. TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, everyone was calling it out. Creators like Antonio Garza, Bryce Hall, and Mikayla Testa started chiming in. Bryce even said, "You're cooked, James." That part had me screaming. After weeks of silence, James finally dropped a statement via DM. Yep, not a public video, not even a close friend's Instagram story. A private message to Zach. Here's what James claimed. He said Evan manipulated him, that Evan told him a version of events that made it seem like he was the one being lied on and abused. James said he related to Evan's story because people had lied on him before too. Yikes, and that's why he showed empathy. He says that the moment he saw Kayla's YouTube video, he cut off all contact and felt disgusted. He said he was tricked and he should have known better. Oh, and he added that he was too busy at Coachella to reply sooner. Yeah, because desert parties matter more than allegations, I guess. He even told Zach, please don't include me in this drama, and tried to flip it like, you were friends with Evan too, so we were both tricked. It's giving. I didn't mean to get caught, I swear. As expected, this explanation didn't go over so well. People weren't buying it. Twitter lit up with James Charles is gaslighting again threads. TikTok started memeing the apology. And Reddit? Oof. Let's just say they were sharpening their pitchforks and pulling receipts from every era of James's drama. Because here's the thing. This isn't a one-time whoopsie moment. James has a whole playlist of controversies tied to inappropriate messaging, manipulating narratives, and cozying up to problematic people. Fans were saying, if Kayla had never gone public, would James have ever stopped talking to Evan? And the truth is, we don't know, but the timing makes it real suspicious. Also, the whole he's 20, it's legal argument? Like, yeah, technically, but it's not about legality. It's about the pattern. James constantly messaging guys barely legal right out of high school. It's giving dodgy vibes, and people are noticing. This whole thing with Evan Johnson, it's not just an isolated oopsie. It fits right into a pattern James Charles has been called out for over and over again. Inappropriate messages? Check. Poor judgment in romantic situations? Check. Surrounding himself with people accused of abuse? Double check. And the vanish mode stuff? The use of disappearing messages, just like Snapchat but sneakier? That's been called out before. Like, if you've got nothing to hide, why are you communicating like a Bond villain? At this point, it's hard to call it naive. James is 25. This isn't 2017 YouTube anymore. The influencer world has changed. Audiences expect maturity, growth, real accountability. And he's still pulling the same stunts. Even his own fans are going, wait, this again? The rebrand is crumbling in real time. Now, here's the big question. Is this finally it for James Charles? The answer? Maybe, maybe not. James has been canceled so many times, people joke that he's got frequent flyer miles. But this time feels different. Because this isn't just a scandal. This is personal. This is about someone's real-life trauma, supporting someone accused of abuse. Especially when you've been told directly by the survivor, that's not something you can gloss over with a cute "get ready with me" and a new blush launch. If James really wants to move past this, he needs to do way more than slide into someone's DMs with a "sorry, Coachella was crazy." He needs to own it, publicly, clearly, and he needs to change. Because if not, he's going to be remembered less for his makeup and more for his mess. Let's talk about the silence. Because for a guy who used to go live for hours defending himself over the tiniest rumors, James choosing to say nothing for this long, that wasn't an accident. It was strategic. He saw what happened to Evan. He saw the internet turn against him. And he probably thought, if I just stay quiet long enough, this will blow over. Maybe it had worked before, but not this time. Why? Because now he's tied to something real. Not just drama, not just rumors, but abuse, trauma, legal consequences. And that silence turned into complicity for a lot of people. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about James. It's about influencer culture as a whole. It's about how creators think they're invincible, that followers equals forgiveness, that views equals immunity. But people are waking up. They're asking harder questions. They're holding their faves accountable. And if James Charles continues to prioritize clout parties and PR moves over morality, he's going to find himself more and more alone at the top. What happened here was a betrayal. Not just of a friend, but of the audience's trust. And that's not easy to earn back. Whoa, that was a lot, fam. But now I want to hear from you. Do you believe James's statement? Do you think he was genuinely manipulated? Or is this just damage control with a side of deflection? Let's talk about it in the comments. Keep it respectful, keep it real. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.